Very disturbing times in Jamaica, folks. We are the best of us, we are the worst of us. In light of the recent abduction of 3 women, our next guest is calling for our government to rethink the transport sector. Zooming in, opposition spokesperson on transport, Mikhail Phillips, joining us now. Morning to you, sir. Thank you for being here with us.
Morning to
Hoping
you.
all is well.
Yes, quite fine.
Excellent.
This
Boy,
morning.
I want to be where you are this morning. That your yard looks lovely. But that's another
I'm actually
discussion.
actually actually at the gym.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to be where you are. So let's talk a little bit about what's been happening. Before we even get to transport, what is your take on what is going on in Jamaica, especially in light of these, what would seem like an increase in these types of crimes?
Well, it's sad to say where we are, to see where we are right now. The type of crimes taking place, as you mentioned earlier in your introduction, abductions taking place with persons who purportedly be part of the public transport system. It's a frightening period now. We want to commend the members of the police force and the JDF, as much as persons feel that they're not doing anything, but they're doing with what they have been given to work with. We are hoping that in coming budgets that we will see more being invested in the technology that has been promised. And for even the transport, the transport sector, the ministry putting in more. We want to see more happening with the cameras, the Jamaica Eye. Even in the new Road Traffic Act that is still in limbo, there are sections in it that would allow for the use of cameras at traffic lights to take the photograph of license plates that can be used in crime fighting, and also in upholding the law when persons run those red lights, and you'll be able to aid the police more in that instance. Hence why you see, last week we were in Parliament discussing the whole thing of this new the amendment to the Road Traffic Act, and I spent some time in saying that we are failing the people of Jamaica in taking 3 years to at least bring the regulations to a Road Traffic Act that has been passed since 2018,
Yeah.
and have not been able to be promulgated because we have have it languishing in some ministry agency or a department of government without bringing the regulations.
Yeah.
It's challenging for me because even when we talk about not just these ladies, but other instances of women saying they've been abducted by what appears to be taxis. I'm trying to figure out, Mikhail, is it that there are really taxis? Are people pretending to be taxi drivers? Then how would they have access to plates? There seems to be some kind of gap in the system, and I'm trying to figure out what could that be so we can plug it.
Well, as it stands now, for a driver to be able to be registered by the Transport Authority has to do with produce his police record. There's some background check being done. What you find is that whenever there seems to be a shortage of those individuals, I would say, because they tend to move from one owner to another owner. And whenever it is that an owner can't find an operator who has a badge, they tend to just put someone in the driver's seat, hoping that they are not caught by the Transport Authority or the police itself without the proper due diligence being done in that individual.
Right.
Now, some responsibility has to be taken by the owners themselves, but also that I would love to see more, and I mentioned it in a sectoral presentation about 2 years ago, that Transport Authority ought to be be seen as the regulator itself and not the prosecutor or that is trying to ensure that drivers are doing the right thing. I think that needs to be given more resources and personnel need to be given to the police. In other cities, you have what we call the metro police that deal with just public transport. We may have to look at a system similar to that because we can't keep doing things the same way and expecting a different result. And we've been going down the same road for quite a while
Yeah.
without getting any positive
Yep.
result. And what you're seeing now is these crimes being carried out against women and children.
Yeah.
And it has to be where we shift gears now and take this seriously, that this is a new type of way of persons committing crimes. And it is sad because when you look at the age of these individuals that are being abducted, I mean, it could be my daughter. It could be, a niece and a grandchild of somebody we know.
Yeah, it's very
And
frightening. It's
is.
extremely. You are noting as we talk about the demographic being we want to say almost preyed on. You have noted that while the government has a part to play in what's going on, the onus is also on the folks who use. Let me talk about public transport now, not the
Yes.
kids necessarily who are abducted walking in their own communities, which is a whole other disturbing scenario. You say the onus is also on passengers to be alert. So what more can we do to educate our passengers to let them know what to do, what they ought not to do, so as not to end up in these sorts of situations? Because, Sir Mikhail, the truth is that so many of them have to get to work, have to get to them grabbing anything, whether it is a red plate, white plate, tinted, not tinted, because they're looking to get to where they need to go, so them don't lose them work half the time.
Well, we have a saying in Jamaica, if you can't hear, you go into fields. And again, I refer back to this Road Traffic Act that is in limbo, because it holds also the passenger accountable for their actions. So the passenger himself could also be charged or ticketed in that instance. And a large part of it comes down to the passenger in that public passenger vehicle that they take. But if you look at a lot of communities, and that's why I've always been saying there has to be a revamp of the sector itself. We have to, I think some data needs to be gathered in the areas that there are gaps. So you have a lot of illegal operators operating because persons have to miles to get to a taxi stand of where a route terminates or begins. And we have to look seriously at that in filling those gaps. The route that the Minister of Transport took 2 years ago in just giving out license and hoping that it will fix the problem, that is a wrong way in doing it. So you have, like in Kingston, you have probably about 3,000 operators, but then you have routes from Mile Gully, my own constituency, to Johns Hall, which there are no routes. So you have illegal operators operating, but persons need to move from Johns Hall to Mile Gully to be able to go to Mandeville. So we have to now depend on data, and I'm imploring the minister and the Transport Authority to do some research, see where those gaps are. Persons who want to get into the sector itself, try and put them in those gaps, but not to just willy-nilly just give away license like that and hoping for the best. That's not the right way in doing it in a modern society like ours.
All right. So you mentioned the act. Where are we with that? Revising,
Well,
talking about it. We're going to stay in Garden House till midnight.
Well, the Prime Minister a few weeks ago promised that it will come before the Christmas break. We're still holding them to that. It is taking too long. And we as parliamentarians, not just the government, but as Parliament itself, all 63 of us, we are now looking as if we are inefficient. And, this is not what the people sent us there for. They sent us there to be able to pass laws in a timely manner, pass it for the benefit of all Jamaicans. The Road Traffic Act should not be looked at just as a revenue stream for the government, but in how it is that we can have persons abiding by the law that has been set out by the parliaments of this land, so that we can have a society that people want to live in and to raise families. As it is now, it is a dog eat dog out there now, and this is not the Jamaica that we want to see.
Yeah, feels like it for true. Thank you so much. We just have to keep working at it, because God knows something has got to give.
I just want to end by just, saying to those persons who are taking public transport, that you too have a responsibility. We know it is hard out there, but you too have a responsibility to keep yourselves safe. And to those operators out there that are, putting persons at risk, too many lives have been lost this year to road traffic accidents.
Yes.
To those who are riding bikes, put on your helmet. The law is there, and we need to follow the law. We need to keep ourselves safe.
And accountable, because that's what's going to help us to enforce the law. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you for being with us this morning. Enjoy the rest of your workout.
I will. Look forward to it in the mornings.
Okay. Yes, it's good for clearing the mind. Although, if I
Definitely.
were in that setting, I don't know if I could really work out.
I did have.
Mikhail Phillips,
yes, go ahead.
opposition
Thank you very much.
spokesperson on transport. How can women and girls protect themselves from sexual predators? We hear your responses in our social media talkback segment, and that's coming up after the break. Soon come.